Sebring International Raceway is considered the consummate test of driver and machine. So the devious mustache-twisting folks at the Full Send Sims Esports iRacing Spec Miata Championship decided it was the perfect place to kick off 2024's first season. Brutal. But there is rhyme to their reason. This coming weekend is the opening round of the SCCA's Hoosier Super Tour at, Sebring. So anyone racing there this weekend can get a couple of races in tonight and against some equally fierce competition, all fulfilling Full Send Sim's slogan of practice makes podium. It's time to respect and survive the bumps and possibly leap ahead early in the season points. Hi folks, I'm Greg Creamer and welcome to the legendary track known simply as Sebring. And as always, an absolute delight to have Kyle Heyer alongside with me for the call. And Kyle, they've made some small but significant changes to the car, but the big question still has to be, can anyone dethrone three-time consecutive champ Morgan the Kid Burkhart?
I'm not sure we're going to know that until the very tail end of the season, Greg, but all we know is that he's going to be a fierce challenge all season long. He knows how to get this car on a racetrack. There's been some changes to the cars, lightening the fuel load. I just don't know how much that's going to fundamentally change the dynamics of the car, but a record-breaking field here tonight, 44 cars. Maybe there's someone, maybe there's a diamond in the rough in this field, Greg.
Well, you never know, that's for sure. And when you look at the three seasons of 2023, in each season, the gap between Morgan and the pursuing driver reduced by half, then almost by half again. At the end, it was just over 20 points. There are people out there capable of doing it. There's no question.
Absolutely. And we're at Sebring, as you mentioned, Greg. We've been here quite a bit in this series. This track also removes one of the other variables, being a track that so many people know. So they're not going to struggle to find out where they're turning in or where they're going to make passes. We've seen this put on photo finishes time and time again. And Morgan's gotten in trouble a few times in those photo finishes. So that could bring a whole different dynamic at this challenging racetrack. Here's a look at it from high above, Greg. And take me through a quick lap here, 17 corners on this classic road racing circuit.
Yeah, 3.7 miles, a busy track, but also those long straights all the way from 16 into Sunset Bend, the last turn, but from from the exit of that turn all the way down to 1. Very high-speed run from 5 into 7. All of those are great potential overtaking areas, even up into turn 10. But it's the twisty stuff in between and the bumps, particularly in 17 and in 1, that are hugely problematic. But there's a huge bump right as you get into the braking zone into 7, Kyle. So there's lots of little nuance around this track. Knowing where to drive to minimize those bumps oftentimes is what will separate a driver from victory and defeat.
Yeah, returning again for our two 20-minute heat races as well. Pretty short sprint races, and with such a big field, the starts in the past, Greg, we've had some shockingly successful starts here at Sebring with big fields, but 44 cars, that's going to be a huge challenge to get through turn 1 clean.
Yeah, that's a whole different dynamic, isn't it? And the other side of it is they've made some minor changes to how the rolling starts proceed to more, mimic, if you will, real-world racing. So we're going to see how that all plays out. But great look here, cars during qualifying into that very tricky turn 17. And right in that apex point is when you get on the bumps. And if you get somebody down inside of you or on the outside that pinches you and gets you off of that prime line, those bumps get much more exaggerated, and you have to be ready for that. And let's not forget, Kyle, on the exit of 17, that wall, if you are offline just a little bit, it will bite you in a hurry.
It certainly will, and the first time's coming across the timing and scoring here early in the session. We've got 9 minutes to go, but Jordan Rick Segrini up to the top of the number 108. Now, we saw Jordan perform very, very well here in the past in this series, but also had a podium here in the Real World Toyota GR Cup North America Series back in September. So we know he's got a lot of talent and he's capable of getting the job done here today.
Yeah, he's one of those drivers who just kept closing that margin up to Morgan as each of the seasons unfolded. There he is. A look at that 108, that white car with the purple trim as he heads out on track. Right behind him, the 132 of Camden Hibbett. And Camden is another guy that I think might be well poised, Kyle, for an absolute breakout season here.
Yeah, absolutely. We saw flashes of greatness last season, and I think he got caught up in a bunch of collisions that weren't of his own doing. So staying out of trouble, as always, it's a talking point, but Camden in particular, he's got the pace to win. I think he just needs the luck to win as well. Big slide there through turn 5, and he'll spin out. I've done that a time or two in a Miata. one that dynoed at 89 horsepower the next week. Don't talk to me about that anymore. But but Camden will spin around and we'll go back out there. But 23 cars have recorded lap times here already in qualifying.
Yeah, no, it's a huge field, and now he comes out. And let's not forget, Nicholas Rice-Puto, so close here in these previous 2023 season championships, and Jorge Ortiz, a guy who showed a lot of pace as well. And then the 77 to Josh Soto. This field is stacked, but the cool thing is, Kyle, with nearly 45 entries here, as you said, there could be a driver out there that neither of us are very familiar with, who could show some really superb pace.
Yeah, here's a look at Beans Forster as well. He's always given us a great onboard look. Today in particular, how about this setup that he's got, giving us the over-the-shoulder camera showing the whole sim, pedals and all. I love this perspective. We'll be sure to check in with him throughout the evening.
Yeah, I love seeing, look at the footwork there. That's the ballet of racing, as I call it, which, the modern paddle shift stuff, to me, you just lose that art form, and it becomes just simply more mechanical. And having that dynamic, I just love it. And the guys that continue to use that, kudos to them, because it sure makes it fun to watch at this stage.
Yeah, up to 10th place on that time around as well, so that's a row 5 starting spot at the moment. Caleb Patry, though, steals that moment through at a 2:35.747. And let's see who else is in this list that maybe has not put down a lap time yet. Jamison Huffman in the 45. I expect him to run pretty well. He has not yet put a time on the board.
And the other guy that I'm going to keep an eye on here is Dibdahl. We saw him in a couple late races last year and really show some pace. So I'm excited to see what he's going to be able to do. And it's great to see Skip Rock out there. He had scheduled, he said, an appointment this evening, and forgot what time that this started off. He wasn't sure he was going to be able to make it. Great to see that he's out there and actually got a little bit of practice time in as well. So great to see that. He certainly is going to be a player.
Currently 9th here in the qualifying session. Some of the other rules changes coming into this season, Greg, there was a touch point on blue flag rules and getting lapped. They've made blue flags effectively compulsory now, typically in North American road racing at least. Blue flags are advisory only, just telling you that there's a faster car approaching, but especially with the field sizes and pace we've got up front, they've made that a compulsory flag. As soon as reasonably a safe opportunity, you're going to pull over and let the leaders go by.
Yeah, technically the blue flag means check your mirrors. That's what it says in the GCR. But as you said, with this size of a field and with the pace of the front runners, I think that makes sense during a race. If you see a blue, obviously, and I hate to put it this way, but an instructor said it to me once when somebody asked about, what does a blue flag mean? And he said, well, basically it means there's a great race going on and currently you're not in it. And and I think that's fair. You've got guys that are battling fiercely, and if you're down and about to be lapped here, just let them through, let them race, and you'll have another race coming up, or you can join again in a week. So I think that's a great plan. Rick Segrini at the top, 2-minute 34.63, but look how close the margins are, Kyle. 5 100ths between Rick Segrini and Soto.
Yeah, it's amazingly close between those two, and we were just looking at one of the cars that's notably not up there, Morgan Burkhardt. Give him a minute or two, though, he will likely be there, and bring another familiar name into the mix. Jorge Ortiz has had an excellent qualifying session as well, currently 5th with a 2:35.060. How about a new name, Noah Harmon in the 115, running 6th quick. That's something I've noticed, a name that we haven't seen at least a lot in the past.
Yeah, absolutely, an absolutely great lap there. I mean, you take a look at right now the top 10, Kyle, covered by less than a second at this stage in this, and this is still a fairly early in qualifying. We got 4 minutes left. You never know what's going to happen, but we're seeing it pretty well packed up at this stage, and that just bodes for a really, really good race here. And Trace Hance, watching for him out there as well. We've seen some really good pace out of him, but yeah, Harmon there in that purple and black 115, really impressing right now.
And there's Trace Hance, as you mentioned, in that number 53. Morgan Burkhardt just had an accident leaving turn 6 and had to reset. He's going to get maybe only one attempt now, because to get all the way around the racetrack takes you over 2.5 minutes, and that will only leave him about a minute left before he can come back around. Now that it's open qualifying, You'll get some overflow time after the checker to complete a lap, but Morgan's going to get one shot at this, and he might not even get a chance to do that if he doesn't roll quickly here, Greg. And starting at the tail of a 44-car field, that is a death sentence to a good run, at least in the first race.
Yeah, as good as he is, that's just too many cars to overcome. So, yeah, he needs to get on it and get on it in a hurry here. And if he doesn't get out, there he sits.
Oh, so sorry, Greg. I was told earlier that Morgan is using a controller. Yeah, there he is. He's got his game controller. So this might explain why he's not running right up at the pointy end. I've done that before. It's not easy, and Morgan Burkhardt's going to have an uphill battle ahead of him.
Yeah, no kidding. I mean, talk about precise moments and having to be awfully delicate on the finger dance there. We'll see what he's going to be able to pull off at this stage. But going to see here, look at that. Rick Segrini actually found another 3 100s and has now turned to 234.6. And that opens that gap up to an astounding 8 100s over Soto right now.
That's a huge gap.
I think Rick Segrini right now has said, all right, that's what I've got. He's just letting everybody through.
Yeah, worst case scenario, you're going to start, second, maybe third?
Yeah.
After all that. But the cars do get faster in qualifying. That was Jordan's third full lap that he completed. He's on lap 4 now. So as the fuel burns off, the car gets a bit lighter, the tires come up to temp. You'd expect the cars to get slightly quicker, but it's not going to be night and day.
What kind of temps are we looking at right now?
Don't know off the top of my head, but
okay.
It's going to be, I guess I could take a look at it for you here and confirm what the temperature is, but it's central Florida, so who knows? It could be all sorts of things.
Yeah.
But qualifying about 1 minute and 30 seconds away from completing, and current temperature looks to be about 116 degrees Fahrenheit on the track, about 75 in the air.
Okay,
so 116
fairly pleasant out there. 116's warm, but not atrocious, is it?
It's hot for iRacing. I think the hottest I've ever seen was probably in the 130 mark. That's really hot. See that at Indianapolis a few times. For whatever reason, that track in iRacing tends to be like the surface of the sun. But
well, what it does, when you're up over 110 degrees track temp, you do have to be a little bit more mindful on tires. So drivers that have that ability to be able to find speed and not take a lot out of their tires, the guys will be fast late, and that's when you want to be quick.
Here's Court Schmidt, looking at him in the 172. Surprised we don't have an onboard from him tonight. Usually he gives us a shot of one of his full send sim rigs. We had a really pleasant conversation at Performance Racing Industry earlier, I guess it was last month now, back at PRI in Indianapolis, where he talked about Court's experience building sims, and it goes far, far deeper than just racing sims, Greg. Fascinating stories.
It really does. I mean, it all came. He started off as a mechanic and then, became an engineer and got involved in full-on military sims. And I mean tanks, armored vehicles, and actually had an opportunity to prove how good his sim training was. They actually stuck him in a tank and said, all right, you think your sims are so great, go out and fire one off and hit the target. And he was able to do it, all because of that sim training. But he's also a real-world race car driver, and he went, when COVID hit, and this was the fascinating story, was he was trapped over in Iraq. He was working on these sims, so he started doing racing sims, and decided, you know what, that's what I want to do, and created Full Send Sims, and the rest, as they say, is history, and had the vision to create this amazing series that you and I are now a part of and able to call some incredibly good racing. But he hasn't done it all alone. Certainly it's the Full Send Sims series. Practice makes podium. We talk about that slogan. It's such a good one. But he also has some great help from the folks at 3P Logistics and Frank Rodriguez, and at Final Turn Motorsports with Rob Greenwood, and Wine Country Motorsports coming on for the 3rd season in 2023, and Race Gear and Equipment, and they are the best at that as well. So continuing to build a really good group of supporting and presenting sponsors that are continuing to allow us to take this to the next level.
Yeah, all the very, very exciting things, and glad to be back for another season. We're in season 4 now. It feels like it's we're in it pretty deep at this stage, but it's all happening very, very quick. As we get rolling here, we got 20-minute heats, 2 of them, 2 races tonight. And those are going to go by relatively quickly, about 8 laps apiece, I believe. But let's roll through our starting lineup, Greg. It is a big one tonight. I see 47 on the grid, and at the top it's Jordan Ricks-Segrini in the 108 and Joshua Soto in the 77.
Yeah, massive field. Then the 132 of Camden Hibbett and Nicholas Rice-Puto with a 0-3.
And then it's Jorge Ortiz in the number 311. Noah Harmon starts 6th in the number 115.
Then it's the 99 of Dean Dibdahl in 7th. Jeremy Fletcher in the 8th spot in the 69.
Skip Rock Jr. starts 9th in the number 32. Giancarlo Schooler 10th in the number 110.
Then in 11th, this is the 23 of Beans Forrester, and in 12th at 998 of Caleb Patry.
And Jordan Butler starts 13th in the number 72. Murphy Nichols 14th in the number 55.
15th will be the 53 of Trey Sands. 16th will be Deacon Greenfield in the 20.
17th place, Max Schweid in the number 98. Andrew Wozencroft 18th in the number 80.
Starting 19th at 172, of course, Schmidt himself, and Kai Dial, in the number 38 starts 20th.
And in 21st place, Michael Melvin in the 36. Rocco Pasquarella starts 22nd in the 95 car.
Starting 23rd, the double 8 of Jason Myers and the 44 of Alex McClellan.
And 25th is Michael Lauren in the number 35, and Jose de las Casas in the 1 starts 26th.
Starting in the 27th spot, the 122 will be Spencer Conrad, and the 22 will be Rich Green starting 28.
And Stephen Blethen starts 29th in the number 50. Wayne Buttermore 30th in the number 73 car.
Starting 31st, the 117 of Carson Neal. Starting 32nd, the 125 of Sawyer Richards.
Andrew Guada in the number 11 starts 33rd. Olivier Piatek 34th in the number 62.
Starting 35th, the double 0 of Max Bankin, and starting 36th, Eric Haywo, the number 16.
And behind them, Noah Rosser in the number 33 starts 37th. Jim Friedhofer 38th in the number 89.
Starting 39th, the number 12 of Paula Bowen, and starting 40th, Christian Rice-Puto, the number 19.
And Morgan Burkhardt starts 41st in the number 40, looking for another championship, but he's got some work to do tonight. Jamison Huffman starts 42nd in the number 45 car.
Starting 43rd is Orion Collins in the number 21. Starting 44th, Josh Bakari in the number 37.
And last couple of rows, Seth Spolman starts 45th in the number 042. John Reyes, 46th in the number 29.
And wrapping up the field, starting 47th is the number 47, Les Chacek.
How about this grid? Watch this roll by your shot. I mean, that's 27, 25, how many rows is that? 24 rows of cars? That's unbelievable.
Yeah, basically. It's a huge field. And it just tells you, I think, one, how popular this series has become in general, but also the wisdom of sort of parroting the SCCA national and regional series racing at a track where an event will happen the following weekend. Gives people, like I said, a nice chance to get out and get some practice in.
Yeah, I don't think that can be overstated. The ability to use the sim, in a simulated environment, as a training tool. And we hear a lot of people ask me, what is what's the difference between good practice and bad practice? Well, it's about your mindset and how you go into it. And if you're treating this like a simulator, you're going to get simulated efforts out of it. If you treat it like a game, it will be a game. But I don't think a lot of drivers here tonight are treating it that way. This is practice for next weekend's race, and they're going to do it here in iRacing in the Full Send Sim Spec Miata series. Doubling up here on the back straightaway, heading towards Sunset Bend. And turn 1 is going to be a wild one, Greg. Just get through it. Really, just get through the first lap is going to be key.
No, I mean, it's so wide on entry, and it funnels down into just about a 4-wide piece of track. And we're going to see guys 6, 7 wide, I bet you, trying to get through turn 1. So, yeah, the exit of 1 is going to be just insane. And the exit of 16, we just saw a shot of that. It's so crucial to get a run down here into 17. So many key corners here that you just have to get right. But here we go. Last time behind the pace car. Pace car is going to duck in. And your front row bringing us to the flag. Here we go. Soto will be on the outside in that black and red car, and the multicolored purple-hued entry down to the inside. Watch for the green flag. Barney lets it fly. Huge move by Rice-Puto. The 0-3 timed it beautifully, but has nowhere to go to the outside. Hibbett tucks right in, and behind Lassire, if he's got any place to go. Now, here they go. 5, 6, 7 wide. Trace Hands way down to the inside. Yeah, I was thinking he was going to get pitched, but Caleb Patry may have just made the start of the gods. A couple of cars, 3 or more cars off, and now a big hit. But man, Caleb Patry It looked like he was going to pull one off, but now he gets collected and trapped.
Yeah, they didn't even make it down to turn 3. After that, there's a couple other cars torn up down there. We'll get a look at it a bit later if we can, but there was no way you're coming out of turn 5 in one piece with the cars going down into one like they did. They were 5, 6, maybe 7 wide at one moment there. That was crazy. Rick Segrini leads the way. Rice Puto second, Hibbett third, Soto, and then Jorge Ortiz, your top 5 here. Big dive from DL in the 30. No, that was Ortiz in the big car on the binders into 7.
Yeah, look at that battle. The 311 of Ortiz, Soto right there as they are tucked right in behind Hibbett trying to figure out what they can do. Trace Hands has damage. That is a real shame to see that for Trace. You hate to see that unfold here. Just got caught out here. Now he's got to limp it all the way around. Oh, man, that's just going to be, we know how quick he is. And Morgan Hibbert, he did not, or Morgan Burkhardt, I'm sorry, he did not come through that first lap unscathed. Lots of damage on that car.
Yeah, that's not good news for his championship battle. There's not that many rounds. You're going to get a drop week, but you don't want to use it in round 1. That's not really the plan there. There is about a dozen cars that are in pit lane with crash damage that might be too much to repair in this first race. So we're down to 35 runners at the moment after 47 took the green flag.
Yeah, that's just a shame here. But, we talked about it. That's so many cars, and getting them all to funnel successfully down into that first turn, much easier said than done. So at least now things have settled a little bit here. Rick Segrini, about a quarter of a second lead right now over Rice Puto that Camden Hibbett, we ride on board with, sitting in third in that 132. Catching a nice tow here as they head down into turn number 17, Sunset Bend as they call it here. Top 5 because of all of that angst that we had in the opening lap, Kyle. A little bit of a breakaway here.
Yeah, 5-car breakaway. Then it's 3.8 seconds back to Skip Brock Jr., who himself has a horde of cars right behind him. DL, Michael Melvin, Max Schweid, Olivier Piatek, and a few others. But they are 3.8 back from that main pack and will have to work together pretty much non-stop to catch this front pack, even if they do some battling there. I think Deacon Greenfield is also hitting pit lane, and Beans Forster with some significant damage.
Oh boy, that first lap, that first turn apparently took one heck of a toll here, and that is a real shame. But yeah, you can see that margin now. Ooh, big moment there by Camden Hibbett. Look at Jorge Ortiz, talk about opportunistic, saw that wiggle and pounced.
Yeah, you see Camden wasn't thrilled about that either.
Yeah.
But let's have a look at that and see what happened on the run down here into turn 3. Just watch the pink and white car just tag the rear.
Ticked them.
Yeah.
That wasn't opportunistic, that was optimistic.
Yes.
With that move here. Yeah, Camden won't be thrilled with that. Now he's just got to focus that red mist a little bit and figure out a way to get back and around. And I'll tell you what, one thing we have seen from Jorge over the latter part of last season was the guy is aggressive. There's no question about it. I wonder now if Hibbett has some damage as we see Josh Soto get through relatively easily too.
Yeah, I think as far as the optimism versus opportunity, that's probably a distinction without difference, I'd imagine.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think at that point, the door was open. I just don't think he meant to do that. They're just all packed in. It's an accordion, Greg. Every time you get on the brakes, right, everyone behind you has to get on the brakes slightly earlier not to run into you, and then you have that sort of accordion stack-up effect.
Yeah, we just watched Max Schweid sneak around Kai Dial as well. And now back in 11th, Jeremy Fletcher here having a go. Is that Michael Alfram?
Yeah, it is. It's 35 right behind.
Yep.
From 25th to 12th, so he's managed to dodge and weave a little bit. Noticing some team paints on some of these cars as well. These JFR cars, the pink and white, look awful similar to Jorge Ortiz's 311 running third right now.
Yes, they do. And it never hurts to have some team members out there. If you end up running together, you've got either somebody that's covering your 6 or can help sort of be a blocking back and take you through as we drop back into the pack just a little bit. There's Skip Brock suddenly off throttle.
Yeah, I think that was
Schweid comes by.
Cut course, I think, for turn 16. Again, you can't go more than a half car width to the inside of that curbing. Wow, that's tight there between DL and the 38 and Schweid in the 98. That's the blue car leading this pairing.
Yeah, DL there, Jay, literally had to just dip the brake. You can see the nosedive, or he was going to get into the back of Max Schweid. So some great driving by him. That, of course, will allow the 36 here, Michael Melvin, right behind these two guys, It's going to give him a little bit better run, and that's going to, I'll tell you what, a guy who has had an amazing opening series of laps is Olivier Piatek in the 62. He started way back, didn't he?
Let's see, 34th.
Fourth,
to 9th. That's wild. And so are these two. Look at DL on the brakes into turn 3. Took a swipe at him. Swiper, no swiping. We'll have to stay 7th for now.
Yep, had to tuck it right back in again. And again, impressed with Michael Melvin just hanging with these guys. But Piatek, and now Skip Brock with that penalty sort of played out. He is right on the 6 now with Piatek, and those are two very quick guys. Another guy who had an amazing opening sequence of laps is Jean Reyes. I think he started back in that same area. Olivier dives to the inside, gets the position, beautiful move, and he is through on Michael Melvin.
Yeah, still side by side still. Melvin's hanging on. Love the colors on that 36 car, by the way, reminiscent of the Le Mans winning Mazda prototype.
Yeah, very evocative colors. The renowned Mazda there.
Skip Brock Jr. down to the inside behind him. I was actually at Watkins Glen when Mazda Motorsports went back to Victory Lane. Was it 2016, I think, when they went back to Victory Lane for the first time since Le Mans at the highest, one of the highest levels of international road racing. That was an exciting day.
Yeah, it certainly was. Certainly was. Oh, Skip Brock now. I think Michael just got off of that his rhythm just a little bit. Skip Brock now jumps up and takes that 9th spot away, drops Michael Melvin back into 10th. There's another sizable little gap, about 2 seconds back to 11th to 69 at Jeremy Fletcher. And then Jean Reyes, as I said, who I think also had a storming start up through the field. But drive of the race so far, clearly Olivier Piatek here. 34th now, sitting in a remarkable 8th spot, and did it in just a couple of laps. Yeah, he had a lot of help, but he had to thread the needle through some absolute carnage down there. Somehow pulled that off, Kyle.
Yeah, that was wild. And so is the battle for the lead. Rick Segreini's got it, but here comes Jorge Ortiz looking for a second. What a phenomenal drive it's been for Ortiz today, and through and looking for the lead now in Sunset Bend.
Yeah, couldn't quite get it done, but really showing that aggression that we've been talking about. I don't know whether there's going to be any kind of a penalty, as now the 0-3 of Nicholas Rice-Puto going to dive down to the inside of Ortiz, or try to, heading down into turn 1. He's got position, and Jorge is going to try and run with him. Boy, that takes trust that Rice-Puto is not going to float out wide. Rice-Puto does give him enough racetrack, and they're coming up on the back of the 11 right now, so traffic is already going to play a role here. That is Andrew Gaeta.
Oh boy, we're going to get to see our new rule in effect just like that. He gets out of the way very quickly, and very nicely, and I think in the past that would have been a problematic exchange there.
I think you're right.
That was well executed by everybody, and battle for second continues.
Man, it's a beauty, isn't it? Ortiz, Rice-Puto still side by side. And Ortiz right now has position as they head down into the hairpin at this stage.
Big lunge for Ortiz. Couldn't get it woe down. And Rice-Puto crosses him over.
Yeah, that was, I'll tell you, it was a nice piece of driving by Ortiz when he realized he got in hot. To give up a position potentially, but not get into the back of Rice-Puto. That was classy. And here comes the 77 of Soto down to the inside as we watch from Camden Hibbett. Soto is through, and now Ortiz has to protect from Camden Hibbett, and I wonder what kind of memory Camden has right now, because that purple bumper now right in front of him.
I think it's a fairly long memory. Jorge Ortiz almost rode off his own car, jumping over the curb there, leaving Cunningham just drilled that curb and slid the car across. Here's a bit of a battle deeper in the field. Christian Rice-Puto in the 19 and Stephen Blethen. And here comes Carson Neal in the 117. He started this race in 31st, so he's up about half the grid.
Boy, nice run. And he did not get through there cleanly, but it didn't affect the car, did it? Way down, and there was contact at 19 of Christian Rice-Puto. Goes around, and unfortunately, Blethen got caught out in his own incident there. And both of them badly held up.
Yeah, he actually stopped after that. I think he realized he got in there too hot.
Yeah.
It's a single file corner there, mostly.
Yeah, not intentional, just thought he had to run and then realized it wasn't there. Ooh, there's some curb hopping for you.
From Beans Forster. Driving down there.
Trying to make his way up, try and get around Christian for that 18th spot here. I love this onboard. Watch the footwork here, folks.
Pin it to the floorboards on this run. Here he comes. to the inside, and he's going to have this run, and the 19 chased him over to the right side.
Yeah, he had to actually give a little last-minute torque on the wheel here to get through, but makes it through. And now for Christian Rice-Budo, great opportunity here. We know how quick Beans is. Didn't get the qualifying you wanted for Christian now. Watching the lines Beans is driving and seeing, all right, where am I quicker? Where is Beans quicker? And then trying to merge those two. It's like lifetime data acquisition at this stage.
Yeah, he opened up the entrance to Sunset Bend so much more, and I think Rice-Budo will learn a lot just from that one lap. But the problem is if you can't stay hooked to the bumper long enough to learn anything, then it's all for naught and you lost the position too.
Yeah, exactly. And I was just watching at the back of that group, Carson Neal taking a real run for the top 20 on Wayne Buttermore. As we go back to this battle, it's awfully compelling at the front here. And Josh Soto continuing to duel with Ortiz right now, but Nicholas Rice-Budo, he's turned the amp up just a little bit here and has closed down on Rick Zagrini. It is all over the back of him at this point.
Yeah, he is close, but the 108 has been pretty much in command of this race since the drop of the green flag. We haven't seen anybody really effectively get by him. You'll have to wonder how much is, how patient do you get?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, are they playing the game right now? We talked about those track temps. Looks like we've got some pretty good shade on the track right now, so they may have been mitigated, but, you know, what kind of a tire-saving game are we playing? And when is somebody going to say, okay, that's enough, I've got tire, I'm going?
Yeah,
and who will it be? That's the important thing.
You lean on the tires in such high speeds here that you can really chew them up when it's hot. So that shade, you're going to feel that, especially towards the end of the race. And we are down a little bit. Well, I was going to say some of the drivers are down a little bit from their best laps, but Jordan Rick Zagrini just ran his best, and that's bad news because he hasn't gone anywhere.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really, really good run for him at this stage here. And, you know, the interesting thing, this track has so many different surface changes in it. And, you know, that too, if you hit the bumps wrong and then you get launched and slide across a rougher part of the surface, can really torture these tires as well. So there's just a lot you've got to be paying attention to here. And Rice-Budo paying very close attention to the back of Rick Zagrini's bumper at this stage. But Jorge Ortiz has ramped it up again as well. Look at this.
Those cars slamming through the bumps there in Sunset Bend. There's particular area right on the inside that's kind of one of the 2 or 3 preferred lines, but there is a place if you drift out a little bit it can get very, very wild. Here's Ortiz down to the inside swinging 1 for second.
Let's see if he pulls it off, and I think he just might here. And I'll tell you what, some of that I think was precipitated. If we go back to that shot again, if we get a moment here of them coming through 17, Ortiz was in that zone, if you will, where the other guys were bounding around it, and Jorge's car, it didn't move at all. Watch this. Look at that. No bounce. Really smooth, and he just had power down early coming out of there. And it was because he kept those tires pinned to the road. Great job.
Jeremy Fletcher just came down to pit lane. Could have been serving a penalty or just getting some damage repair, but he will return to the track outside of the top 20.
Well, and that's something that I wanted to address a little bit too here is we've got some new stewards that have come along as well. They've added Josh Bakari and Orion Collins. So they now have our chief steward, Andrew Benah, John Over, Josh Bakari, Orion Collins, and Sasha Wilkinson are all stewards. And that has given them the ability now to implement, if they feel like maybe there, to implement a mid-race actual penalty call. So that now is something that is possible. Who was that? 45 down to the inside.
Yeah, Blethen and, was it Loughran? Yeah.
Jamison Huffman in the 45 right there, yeah.
Yeah, that's what.
And again, I mean, none of these are intentional takeouts, obviously.
No, it was Jose de la Casas in the Barbie car. Yep.
Yeah. Jose, of course, one of the 3 owners of the Farah series, and also has a fabulous sense of humor.
Yes. You know, funny enough, in the Grid Life series, we had a couple cars running the Barbie scheme, and they too had their fair share of incidents. I don't know what it is, but it seems like it draws it. There's Rich Green. He's just had a spin. Let's have a look and see what happened to him right there. Contact from 35, who had just gotten turned around himself, and seeing red maybe a little bit.
I think so. Seeing red, targeting blue.
Yeah, exactly. Should be coming
But
to two to go. And
yeah,
battle
these
for
three
third.
these five up front have this has been a great battle. And again, watch this, the way that Jorge gets through here, very little movement relative to the other guys on that car. But then that time he pinched it a little bit on the entry, and he caught that bump on the exit. And that might just let Rice-Budo, well, we'll see what happens here. Looks like Jorge's got the line, but Rice-Budo easing ahead right now, down into one. This is just going to be an out-braking duel. Oh, Rice-Budo gave up maybe a little bit too much here.
Yeah, he lifted it. I thought he was going to try to tuck in, and then Soto looked to fill that gap on the inside, and he power braked the car. He didn't want to jam the thing down the inside there that late into the turn-in, so he braked while he was in throttle contact.
Ooh.
Ortiz and Rice-Budo bounce off each other, letting Rick Segrini drive away, and there's still contact.
They bump it again. Another bump right there. And that is allowed because Soto got caught up in that, and Hibbett was able to come through, and Hibbett might now just rocket all the way up into second, and look at the gap all of that is given Rick Segrini.
Yeah, thank you much. And there's a sly smile on the face as he goes through to P2. The question is now 1.4 seconds. Can he close that up to Rick Segrini with only a lap and a half to go?
Yeah, well, the way these guys are battling behind him, of course,
We're still tangling. I don't think, there's no love lost between these two, I don't think.
Yeah, clearly not. And Soto at this stage just trying to keep clear of everything here, because I think he would love to get up and work with Hibbett to see if they can't run down Rick Segrini. Meanwhile, this great battle, and a big whack right there. That was Piatek. It was at Schweid.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sixth.
They've got to be a little careful because Melvin and Dial are right there side by side. That's not going to help them through this sequence. But these two guys here, Piatek and Schweid, keep banging on each other. These guys have an opportunity.
Ran him all the way to the grass. He's going to try to go up the inside at tower turn. That's tough to do side by side as we've seen, but he gets it done, jumps the curb, and he's through, but he's not quite clear. Piatek tries to keep the nose in there, and he will.
They are still, this is just fierce stuff. And, you know, I'll tell you what, Schweid obviously got as much out of that track and a bit of the dirt without running afoul of the cut course here, and was able to pull that off. Now let's watch Piatek, see if he squares, gets a little bit better run out of the last turn here into Jean de Bienne, now through what they call the Le Mans curve, 16, and such a crucial corner here. Boy, Schweid got through there really well.
He did. That should put that to rest, at least for a moment. Into the Sunset Bend, coming to the white flag. Jordan Rick Segrini leads. Camden Hibbett second. Soto's third. And they might have to give up on Rick Segrini unless Soto and Hibbett work very closely together for the next 3 miles.
Yeah, they've got to come up with something here because Rick Segrini is, let's see, 1.4 at this stage, almost a second and a half. And here comes Soto on the inside of Hibbett. So right now, that tells me these guys, unless Hibbett said, all right, you go through and I'll work with you, we'll draft, but that's going to cost them. Well, maybe it didn't actually. That margin's come down by a tenth.
Yeah, again, I think this is a long lap for these cars. If you really work together, I think they have one shot at this, but it's going to come late in the lap. All the while, Piatek's way off in the dirt at turn 1.
Oh, now he rejoins, but that's what you're talking about. And there's going to, that was inevitable. You can see that was coming. Melvin, there really wasn't anywhere for Melvin to go. Piatek trying to regain the track. Schweid, boy, he and Schweid, they are going to be having words, I think, afterwards here. And he comes on here right there, and Melvin, it's like, all right, yeah. Yeah, Melvin maybe could have turned in a little bit tighter there, but I'm not sure he expected him. Oh, and Ortiz has blown a motor car.
Oh, that is so unfortunate. That thing is leaking oil everywhere. That engine is toast. That's a violent explosion. I haven't seen one go like that in a while. And
no, there was flame out the back for a minute.
It's still running, but it might not make it all the way back around, and that would give up a top 5 run in what was a phenomenal race for him.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what, Josh Soto, that margin's gone from a second and a half to 1.1 here with Hibbett all over him at this stage. Still not much left in this lap, though, for Jordan Rick Segrini.
Yeah,
he's just got to hang in there. Yeah, I think you're right.
I mean, they're going to get close. I just don't. They needed another half lap, maybe another 3 corners. They'll probably get it down to about 5 or 6 tenths if they can really push hard, leaving Jean de Bienne here. And
now you swing way out here through turn 16 or the Le Mans curve. get on the throttle as early as you possibly can. Use every piece of the racetrack.
At 9/10, almost 8/10. It's coming down, but it just needed more laps or less battling the previous time around.
Yeah, they just flat ran out of time here. And Soto having some connection issues, but last time now into Sunset Bend. And Jordan Rixagrini just keeping that car. Just hit your marks, buddy. You've got it all the way through. Here comes a car down almost a lap. Rixagrini comes through, grabs the win. Close battle for second. Soto hangs on over Hibbett by about a quarter of a second. Bryce Pudo will bring it home in the 4th spot. And this argy-bargy continues. That's Kai Dial, who ended up running wide out there.
I wonder if he had some assistance to get out there, or if there was, you almost have to. Oh yeah, 3 wide with Schweid on the inside, tagging each other together, and around they went. Wow. Physical out there.
Yeah, and Michael Melvin was in the perfect spot for that and was able to just track on around as we're following now Caleb Patry at this stage, that 998 onto the front straight from Michael Loughran in the number 35 as they come through.
Jim Friedhofer's got a lunge here at Rich Green. That's going to be a drag race to the stripe.
Wow,
I think
how
Green
close you want that?
33 thousandths of a second, how about?
How about that? Really close stuff.
Chachik's wide. Murphy Nichols is going to steal this one here unless Chachik can somehow build a run enough to get back to the stripe.
Wow, he carried speed. This is so close, but Nichols just barely nails it.
And the last battle, Trace Hance, Jordan Butler. Both these drivers didn't get the results they were looking for.
No, not at all. And certainly, you know, we know the pace that they have, but yeah, it just didn't quite unfold for them here as Trace comes through in, 29th?
Yeah, Morgan Burkhardt managed 28th after that early incident.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, actually, and considering he's doing it with a hand controller.
Going
Not
back to
the
very drop of the green flag, this is what the start looked like, Greg. This was wild.
just insane. And I want to watch for Piatek here, because there we go. We're 4 abreast, now 5 abreast. Almost a look at 6 abreast here. And there's Piatek. Some of the carnage. Ooh, a couple of violent hits behind him. Look at that move. Out into the dirt, threaded that mess. Comes up on this. Oh! What a great reaction, Kyle.
That was wild. I mean, it came from nowhere. Watch this. Woof. That's like something out of the Cars movies.
That's just crazy. And made it work, and then got it woed down, avoided Hance and a couple other people. Wozencroft there having all kinds of contretemps, and Piatek. Yeah, what a start he made. Then, of course, had that issue and dropped back a little bit. But how about the guy who ends up in 5th? Jean Reyes. I think he started outside of the top 30 as well. Absolutely stellar run for him up through the pack.
Yeah, he did, Greg, and there was a bunch of drivers that had some really good results in that one after starting pretty deep in the field.
Yeah.
But, you know, one of the talking points going into this was such a huge field. Getting through the first lap was critical. Some drivers didn't do that, including Morgan Burkhardt, who's trying to repeat his championships, Greg. So we learned lap 1, turn 1, you got to be patient and take your time.
Yeah, and we talked about it at the very top of the show, talking about this is an opportunity to come out of the gate and build some points. And Morgan has done that very successfully in the 3 seasons run in 2023. But this 4th one is going to be struggling just a little bit here, Kyle.
I got some other news, Greg. I know the weather is pretty wild in some parts of the country right now. Beans Forrester just lost power. So he just dropped out of the Zoom, and I don't know that he'll have time to rejoin, especially if that power is out. But there is weather across the eastern seaboard right now, from Florida all the way up here into Chicago, if you can call that eastern seaboard. It's just wild out there, and we could see that affect work drivers tonight.
Oh, it's a massive storm. I was looking at the maps here, and as you said, we were getting here in Bradenton, Florida, just south of Tampa Bay. We had tornado watches and massive rain about an hour before this was supposed to start. That moved through, thankfully, from this area, but it's tracking right through Florida. But the northern end of that is what's slapping you up in Chicago. This is a massive storm front.
Yeah, it certainly is. So that could throw a wrench into things as well. Good thing you got that drop round to use, and Morgan Burkhardt might use it for performance reasons as well. But before we get into the next race here, Greg, let's remind everybody about Full Send Sims, and practice makes podium here with the FSS strategy. And we've got Court Schmidt not only putting this on but participating. He's also put some people in charge and to help run the thing, as he told us. This is scaled very quickly, and you got to have the right people managing. And those live stewards, they're going to be busy tonight, and they're doing a great job.
Yeah, they absolutely are, and that's one of the things. Court, he comes at this sim thing from a real-world racing perspective, and so when he decided to do the series, he understands what needs to happen, and that makes it very special. And they also, by the way, Full Send Sims have come out with this new rig. They did it late in 2023, the Pro Ultimate rig. It is a spectacular rig. Absolutely top tier. Go to fullsendsims.com and check it out. It is pretty spectacular. I also wanted to make mention here. We always give away some great aside from the trophies, some great prizes. And this year it's a little bit different. If you're the winner, you're going to get, if you finish in P1, it's a Samsung 49-inch ultra-wide monitor, Kyle. Absolutely spectacular. Second is a Butt Kicker Gamer Plus, and third is a Logitech G Pro X gaming headset. So they changed the prizes up. They're still spectacular. And remember, if you're a admin or a coach, an instructor for Full Send Sims, you're not eligible for those. You can only get the trophy. So even if you're outside of that top 3, don't give up. Keep going after it because we got some new prizes from our sponsors here, and they're pretty spectacular.
Yeah, I'm very privileged to say that a lot of the prizing I have examples of here on my home rig. And the Samsung 49-inch monitor, I've got one right here. That's what I'm broadcasting off of. So that's really cool. It's a great monitor. Yeah, it's a great piece of kit. And I think that's one of the other things. You got to get your pedals taken care of. Got to have good pedals. But your display tech, whether it's VR, whether it is triple monitors, whether it's an ultra-wide, you might want to do a different thing for a different reason. But ultra-wides are such a great way to experience kind of surround vision without the compromises of VR or with bezels of triple screen. So really cool idea there, Greg, to have that be one of the prizes.
Yeah, I think that's really cool because, for somebody like you said that's doing it with 3 screens, to be able to just get that wraparound effect, that can take them to the next level. And it more accurately simulates real-world racing, which we all know is a huge focus of Full Send Sims.
Certainly is. And about 43 seconds until we head back down to the racetrack for our second race of the evening. And with the things that we learned, also the tires, we did see the time slow down a little bit from the beginning of one race, or for the beginning of the first race to the end. But we did see that the 108 was able to break the draft and drive away at the very end because of the battling. Every time you come to these big racetracks where you're drafting, Greg, you can't lose sight of the leader battling for second or third. It seems to happen time and time again where you get so focused on the guy that you're battling that you lose sight of the big picture.
Well, absolutely, and it's a matter of discipline, isn't it? But at a certain point, Kyle, I think, you've got to say, all right, if I want to get this win, I got to try something. And if you don't make that move, if you don't execute it really cleanly, and you get bottled up and side by side through a couple of corners, that guy in front is going to go away from you. And so, it's a bit of a tightrope, but that's also part of real-world racing. And again, we've got that big Hoosier Super Tour race coming up this weekend at Sebring, and this is an opportunity to practice your racecraft, practice your race skills before, if you are going to be racing at Sebring Real World this weekend, be able to come out and give it a real go here.
So as we head back to the racetrack, we're going to grid the field as they finished in race 1. That will put Jordan Rick Segrini on the pole here for this one. Joshua Soto will start in second. Then it's Camden Hibbett, Nicholas Rice-Budo, Jean Reyes, Michael Melvin, Max Schweid, Skip Rock Jr., Olivier Piatek, and Jorge Ortiz, the rest of the top 10. Now, Jorge Ortiz had a phenomenal race 1, Greg. He had an engine blow on the last lap. He was able to limp it back on presumably a cylinder based on the smoke cloud, and got it back to 10th. So he was able to score some okay points, but we know he's much quicker than that.
Well, yeah, and just the fact that he was able to bring it home in 10th, points aside, instead of being 20th or 30th in this field, right? start up in the top 10. We know he's got the speed. He certainly has the aggression to be able to fight his way up a little bit through that. And it was nice to see as well that even though, I mean, he could pull, potentially, something out of his hat here by getting up there. And Olivier Piatek able to hang in there in ninth as well and start in ninth. We saw his speed in that. So, and Skip Brock right there as well. And then Michael Melvin. I was really impressed with the way he raced in that.
Do have some news on Jorge Ortiz. He was on the grid, and as soon as the field rolled off, he pulled off of the grid. So he is not pacing right now, which is not good news. He would have to start from pit lane if he were to get back out. Could be another power issue as well with the storms that we just talked about. Caleb Patry also didn't grid for race 2. Neither did Forster. Of course, we were expecting that one. And then Spencer Conrad, Noah Rosser, Paula Bowen, Orion Collins, and Josh Picari all did not grid for the second race. That leaves us with about 39 or 40 cars. Man, we're dwindling down to nothing, Greg.
Yeah, just, all the way down to 40 cars here. How impressive is that? And I have to say, one guy that I don't think we really gave enough of a shout out to here is Jose de las Casas. He too, was back a little bit in qualifying, drove a really heady race and ended up in the top 15, a solid 13th in front of Caleb Patry. So a nice run by Jose. Yeah,
and of course, some of the new names really impressing. Michael Melvin in that 36 got his elbows out, wasn't going to let anybody push him around, but so Kai DL as well. Not, afraid to lean on his competitors there when he got leaned on, and they both managed to finish in the top 15, albeit with some parts battered and bruised. So they'll continue and restart race 2 and 6th and 11th respectively.
I'm looking forward to this one because now everybody sort of, has a handle on who they're going to be racing with and who's going to be around him at this stage. And, we've got some guys that can make something happen here. What happened there?
Motor popped, and it is...
Oh, boy.
Who was that just came to a stop? Giancarlo Schooler. No,
Schooler.
Same livery.
Yep, the 110.
On the pace lap, of all things.
Man, that's a tough break. And, we've seen him last year. I mean, he showed some really good pace.
Yeah, let's try to see if we can see on the dashboard. 4, down to 3, down to 1. There it is. Third to first.
That'll gut you.
Yeah.
A nice job pulling immediately out of the way and not involving others in this. So, well done.
Yeah, especially on a pace lap when your guard's down, right? I mean, on the start of a race, everyone's focused out the windshield, but here you're checking gauges, you're looking around, you're seeing who's on you on the relative screen. Seeing where you're starting because you might not even know. So all those things can pull your eyes off of the windshield and get you into a big issue here. So the safety vehicle, which I was always joking that this is the 2024 make model. That's leading our field here. We'll pull off shortly. Leaves us with another 8-lap, 20-minute race for the tail end of this one, and move on to our second round, which next week we'll be headed to the Miami Speedway road course, the B configuration with the oval 3 and 4 NASCAR banking. So that should be a lot of fun. This is where we opened our last season, and we saw some amazing racing there.
Yeah, absolutely. And just to let everybody know, this Thursday we have a driver's school you can take at that track. So if you're a little rusty on that circuit, give it a go. But right now it's time to go racing. Race 2 of this first round of the championship for 2024 season 4, if you will. Here we go. Green flag flies. Our top 4 pretty much the same as what we had. Look at that. Piatek trying to get way down to the inside. Immediately was covered off right there. Nice move, I think, by Jean Reyes at that point, trying to blunt him a little bit. And again, Rick Segrini through, but 2 cars up on the outside. Skip Brock, one of them didn't get to the other number.
Yeah.
And then a big pile up mid-pack.
Yeah, Brock saved it, but it was midfield, and then everyone stacked up behind. So that will take out a handful of cars, but the rest of them have made it through 3 this time at least. And it's Rice Budo leading the way over Rick Segrini, so he was able to steal the lead away from the 108. And everyone else now shuffles through Big Bend here.
Yeah, and that's obviously that's what they needed here with the way Rick Segrini ran in that first race. Is a few more cars having issues out there. 22 going around.
Yeah, Rich Green.
Yeah, Rich, boy, he's had a rough couple of races here, but for the rest of the field,
holy cow.
Huge contact in the back. He almost cleared that Advent Health banner, didn't he?
Yeah, that was Deacon Greenfield. He went for a
Oh my
ride.
goodness.
We got to see that one.
Yeah, no kidding. What happened here?
Oh, this is power lost or something. This car was not controlled.
Nope. Bananas, God. Wow.
Well, United canceled hundreds of flights yesterday. That was not one of them.
Yeah, seriously.
Gosh.
That was some serious airborne right there at this stage. But again, Rice Puto out front of Rick Segrini. And, you know, I'm really, really impressed. I mean, there's Olivier Piatek, but Jean Reyes doing a superb job in the 29, sitting in that 5th spot. Tried running a little bit wide there. Gathers it right back up again, though.
Yeah, that 29 and John Reyes in a great position here on the opening lap, or still opening lap. It's a long way around here.
I know. Yeah, you forget how long this is. 3.7 miles. Not many tracks in North America longer than this one. Oh, Rick Segrini squaring up, trying to get a nose inside. Couldn't quite get it done, and now just giving Nicholas Rice Puto a nice little bit of a push here, trying to break Soto, Hibbett, and the rest at this stage.
Yeah, willing to play the game. He could go for the lead right now, but he has not done that. So he's definitely kind of the co-opetition aspect we always talk about in bump drafting racetracks. But are Soto and Hibbett going to play ball because they're right there? Olivier Piatek a little wide in Sunset Bend.
Yeah, you really opened that up. I don't think intentionally, and did a nice job of managing to still roll a little bit of speed through that corner, not lose too much touch. Behind him, the orange 38 of Kai Dial, the 36 of Michael Melvin, who we saw have a really good race in race 1, but drop back just a little bit. Then Schweid and De La Casas has Barbie up into top 10.
Good start for them, and Camden Hibbett on the brakes here, chasing Josh Soto. Maybe feels like he's owed one after some contact in the previous race, but I think it was with, who was that with? Contact he had.
Oh, yeah, not Josh.
No.
So I think he wants to be careful of that. Was it with Schweid, wasn't it?
Maybe. I'm trying to remember. I'm blanking now. It was one of those cars that was up front. But either way, doesn't matter. He got shuffled out. He wants to get back to it.
And it was Jorge.
That's right. Yes.
Jeez, yeah.
I was trying to figure out where he was on the timing screen. Oh, he never gridded. That's right.
That's right. Yeah.
And I don't see him on the timing screen.
Nor do I.
So that's interesting.
Keeping an eye here on the times of Olivier Piatek, because it looks like he might be running. Well, the last lap it wasn't that great, but he's made up a little bit of ground here and been able to drop Kai Dial just a smidge here. And he would love nothing more than to be able to get to the back of Jean Reyes. And that's that purple car. That's his target right now.
Yeah, he's only about a second back. He's still kind of in the draft distance there between himself and Reyes, but he might need a bit of assistance, especially with Reyes having the draft from Hibbett ahead.
Exactly. And a couple of times we've seen Hibbett and Soto not side by side, but sort of fanned out a little bit, and that just gives Reyes a little extra pull. But I'll tell you what now, Piatek, he just made up a couple of tenths just in those last couple of corners, so he is closing it up.
Rick Segrini still being very patient, running in second here for now. And Jose de las Casas, here's that one car chasing Eric Hewo in the 16. He did not have a very good race in race 1. He started 38th in this race. He's running 10th now, maybe 11th after this corner, but up 28 spots in 2 laps.
Yeah, and he actually got around. Caleb Patry's day has gone from bad to worse. Caught out in a couple of things, and I think now just had he had a motor let go.
Nope, that's a hardware failure.
Yeah.
See that wheel snap?
Yeah, no kidding.
That is, that's the cat walking on the keyboard, or watch this. Boom. Full lock, and then bam. Things are getting exciting up front. And let's go back there.
Look at this. Side by each. This is great stuff. And new leader, Rick Segrini, through now on Rice Puto. Look at Jean Reyes attacking on Soto. He's through.
And
John Reyes driving a brilliant race, and that has allowed Piatek. We're very shortly here, I think, Kyle, going to have a 6-car battle here.
Yeah, I think it's almost destined to be. He's only 4/10 back, so he's well within drafting distance now. We've effectively tacked on a caboose onto this 5-car train as we approach the halfway point next time by.
And, Dial and Melvin are not that far back. Then there's a big gap, almost 5 seconds back to Max Schweid in that 9th spot.
Yeah, both of those drivers have shown really good pace and the aggression that you need to do well up front. I mean, it's very calculated aggression at the front of the field, but aggressive nonetheless. If you go up there and you're not willing to get the elbows out a bit, you're just going to get shuffled right to the back of the line again.
Oh, man. And Barbie in and amongst a lot of Kens right now.
Yeah.
And they have moved through. Jose losing a little bit of ground here. He slipped from 10th to 12th now.
Eric Helwo in the 16 again, regardless of how many spots he loses at this stage. That was an amazing first couple of laps. And didn't dodge all the incidents ahead. Well, as I say that, he has now dropped connection.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and it looks to be, well, he's back, but
all right, good.
Not for long.
That's got to be frustrating. I hope that's not a weather-related issue after such a great drive here. But, man, this, that first race, we had 5 cars for a lot of it. Then it kind of ended up being 4. And, conversely, in this race, that train's just growing here at Schweid. Well, I'll tell you what, he's been in the mix, but he's also been involved in a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's not been, the Chamber of Commerce day for the 98 there. Just gets turned around and into the tire wall right at that opening, too. That's going to hurt. And Eric
I wonder if Helwo got into him or if he just overcharged that turn a little bit.
Yeah. Van for second. Here comes Hibbett on Rasputo, wasting no time. Goes through to P2.
And I think Camden recognizing here. All right, Rick Segrini to the front. Rick Segrini just turned a 236.1 to a 235.8. So Hibbett recognizing I've got some pace here, and it may be more than what Rasputo has at this moment. So he's going after it. As Morgan Burkhardt just kind of sitting.
He's giggling. He's giggling because he sees that we're looking at him. He's going, "Why are you looking at me? I'm not driving." Well, that's why it's notable, Morgan. You're not driving. That's why.
Exactly. It's news.
Yes.
And we are above all journalists. Okay.
Some of us are.
Maybe little stretch there, Brad.
Leaving the haircut.
I'll tell you what, man. I am just mega impressed with the drive Jean Reyes is putting on.
We saw this improvement happen bit by bit over the last season, but right off the top, right? Already he's going to have a couple of good points races, and
in that first race he came from way deep too.
Yeah. And so point being, he's going to have some good races to stitch together at round 1. That'll carry momentum into next week, and if you can get 3 or 4 decent rounds of points, then it's just managing your expectations and try not to overdrive and just carry it out. You can easily get a top 5 of the points like that.
Absolutely.
It's so easy to get carried away and overdrive and end up getting involved in a crash, and you will tumble down the standings this season with the field sizes we're going to have. Yeah,
no question about that. And, look at the guy that he was able to sneak through on, Josh Soto. We know how fast Josh is. And Josh is going to be hounding Jean, hoping to get a little bit of a mistake where he can maybe get through. I think Josh right now sensing that maybe that little gap up front starting to get bigger than he wants. Gets to the inside. And Piatek coming right with him, Kyle.
You want a good measuring stick, that 77's a pretty good one. You can look at his results from last season, and if you're beating him now, you'll likely be beating him next week and the week after. But Piatek's going to follow the 77 back on through, and Reyes will have to repeat and rebound.
And nice job by Reyes recognizing that. Now, Soto floating way wide, and Reyes tucks right in behind Piatek. And we'll see what they're going to be able to do. And Will Soto, he was able to get out of there and maintain a little bit of exit speed. And see, Piatek noses ahead, but I don't know that he's got the position. It's all going to be a matter of going deep into one here. Soto and Reyes trying to get the nose inside of Piatek. Couldn't quite make it work and slips back in behind those two.
And maybe there's something to learn here, though, as he can follow Piatek and Soto together. So there's absolutely something you can learn. 4 laps to go this time, so we're at halfway, and the 11 doing a nice job getting out of the way for the second time tonight. Done an excellent job.
He's done a great job. Really, really great track awareness, knowing, okay, I don't necessarily have the pace. I don't want to interfere with these guys.
Well, Wayne Buttermore up to 13th. Yeah. He started really deep in the first race. Managed to finish 16th, and now up 3 more spots in this race.
Yeah, and having a, really, he and Wozencroft right there, that red and yellow machine. Then Buttermore in that sort of multicolored machine right behind him. Stephen Plethen in that blue number 50 right behind him. The 042, Seth Spolman having a really good race here. Look where he started, 31st.
Yeah,
up into the top 15.
Unfortunately, it meant that he finished 31st in the first race. So
exactly, that's the bad news.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this move here.
Oh.
Piatek dives underneath Soto.
Made that look
but all of
easy.
that little bit of argy-bargy, not that there was contact, but just getting him offline like that, it has opened that margin up now, almost 3 seconds from Rice-Puto back to Piatek.
So what did the front runners learn following Jordan Rick-Segrini at the tail end of the first race? Because Hibbett and Rice-Puto are nose to tail. They are much stronger together than fighting against each other here when they're chasing Rick Segrini. So is their approach going to be different? This is not the first time that we've done Sebring. This is probably the 7th or 8th time we've done Sebring in this championship. So, they know how to get it done, but you just need to do it. And sometimes it's easier said than done.
Well, I was going to say knowing how to do it's one thing, but executing that when you got a guy like Rick Segrini who, he's done just a superb job as he's gotten a handle on things here. Now Hibbett got a draft, going to dive to the inside. Rick Segrini going to try and hold position around the outside. Following him now, Rice-Puto. Which one's he going to go with? Tucks in behind Rick Segrini at this stage. That's going to pinch Hibbett's exit just a little bit, and that may have been enough for Rick Segrini to hold station to the inside now.
But is he going to get pinched to the inside? Camden Hibbett's going to leave him plenty of space, though. They're both going to track out to the right. 3 laps to go here from Sebring.
Look at Hibbett open that up. Oh, and I think he wanted to try and get down and underneath. But he had such a good run in, Kyle, that he almost overran it and had to check up.
And there was a bit of contact between Camden's left front and Rice-Puto's right rear. But it was fairly straight on, so it didn't send the 0-3 sliding around or anything. But it's all about positioning. This is, we talk about being a chess match on a racetrack. This is a perfect example of this. You're planning 3 or 4 moves ahead, and then someone moves a piece you weren't anticipating, and all of a sudden you're left scrambling.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it looks like we got some more lap traffic that could play a role as we've got, lap and a half to go here. And I'll tell you, this is when you're leading, this is all pressure on your shoulders here, because one little bobble, and these two guys, Nicholas Rice-Puto, Camden Hibbett, they are aggressive, they are fast, and they will pounce. But Rick Segrini in that first race showed he was up to every minute of it here.
John Reyes back past Olivier Piatek, so puts himself back into 5th. It's an amazing run that he has had today.
Yeah, it really is.
The 2 behind, DL and Melvin, have not really been able to eat into this group's advantage over them, so got some work left to do. Wayne Buttermore running a little wide at the hairpin. He took the full hairpin rather than the safety pin down there at turn 7, as they call it.
And another guy who's having a nice run, Kyle, is Eric Haywo, the 16 now up into 9th. He's gone around a couple of guys in this charge in the last couple of laps, so doing a nice job.
Anytime you can finish top 10 after starting outside of the top 35, you'll take that day.
You bet you will. And, and we're talking a huge field in terms of number, but also a huge field in terms of talent, so doing a really nice job. Nice job there as well by the 47 of sensing what was happening, seeing those blues. Les Chachik doing a beautiful job. Great track awareness again by these guys here. And I think now Hibbett and Rice-Puto, they get it, and they're, all right, what are we going to do? Now Camden decides they're 3 abreast heading into sunset. Oh, I'll tell you what, Rice-Puto, I think he took the bait, got in a little hot, and Hibbett squared him up, and Hibbett's got a beautiful line. If he could get the drive out of here, he may have something for Rick Segrini down into turn 1, and he's got Rice-Puto going to give him a push. I'm not sure that's a grin of pleasure there. I think that's a grin we saw of, can I do it? He's going to give it a go here, down to the inside. Hibbett, side by side, Rick Segrini down through turn 1. How is this going to play out in a square-up move by Rice Puto? What a piece of driving by Rice Puto. Don't know if it'll pay off, but man, was that pretty. And it just, what a touch! Rick Segrini goes around. Those two guys square through. Oh, man. Nothing that Rick Segrini did on his own to cause that, just positional problems.
Oh, man, that stinks. But the battle's up to that point. Hibbett's crossover down into Sunset, and then Rice Puto returning the favor at turn 1. That was all A-class driving. And then, of course, a bit of contact here. Look at this. This is where it all went wrong, though. Just was in there. It's so tough to be side by side through 3.
Well, and the one thing there is Rice Puto was so far driver's left with Rick Segrini on driver's right. I think when Rick Segrini glanced in his mirrors to turn in, he had no clue that Rice Puto was there.
Yeah, something similar happened to Rick Segrini at Sebring in the real world in the Toyota GR Cup Series right here at Cunningham. Just kind of got blindsided on exit and managed to steal a okay day after that. But yeah, some of these corners, Sebring's got a bit of everything, right? There's some really fast-flowing corners and some tight hairpins and things like that, and your entries can vary wildly. And you can be a lot more aggressive passing in some corners than others just based on the angle, the inside curbs, and all of that. Everything's a factor.
It is. And, that's one of the things that you have to love about this track is it's got those, like here, this is one of my favorite corners sections in the world, Bishop, those high-speed double apex lefts. And then you get into, this is very technical here. And you've got to get this run out of here because you've got to flow speed, go to throttle early. And look like Camden got out of there beautifully. But you've got these great long, fast runs, these high-speed corners, and the tight technical stuff. And if you're a complete driver, you can make a difference here at Sebring.
So now what? A lap and a corner left to go. It's 2 drivers out here.
Watch for Camden, I think, to pop. Yeah, I was going to say, he's going to pop out and try and either go around the outside, and now watch for him to try and square up, get to the throttle really early here, and get the run, and he's done it. He's closing. He got a better exit. Now the question is, obviously Rice Puto going to protect way to the inside as the white flag comes out.
Yeah, do you want to be on offense or defense going into 17 next time by? That's the ultimate question.
You bet. That is the exact question here. Soto, he's 2 seconds adrift.
Too far back.
He's got Rick Segrini right on his 6. So yeah, this is mano a mano right now.
Ooh, lock up there.
It blew a motor.
Oh, down a gear too early. And that will end that fight. Gosh. It's the second time today we've had a front runner do that.
Exactly.
Right on board.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, he was in third a hair too soon for too long. Watch the tack there on the left. It wasn't by much, but it was enough.
No.
And he's going to have to limp it back. And we saw in the previous race that happened. And the driver was able to come home and finish 10th, but he's going to drop maybe beyond that. And it's 2 seconds back from Rice Puto to Soto, so I don't think that Soto is going to get a shot at him here. Are some other battles to keep an eye on. Jose de la Casas and Seth Spolman for 12th, so we'll keep our eyes on this one as they head down into the hairpin. This is for P12.
Yeah, and Lofgren has gone around on Wozencroft too, so he's cracked the top 10 now, so a nice run by the 35 of Lofgren at this stage. And then Wozencroft, then Jose de las Casas, and then, as you said, Spolman all over him. Then a little bit of a gap back to Blethyn. So these guys, it's just kind of mano a mano right now. Rick Segrini, though, has come within a half second to Josh Soto here. So Rick Segrini, it's going to be interesting to see. He's there. He might be able to do something here.
Yeah, that back straightaway is so much longer than it feels like. So if he can get, he's got a good run here too. He's got to stay and keep the foot in the throttle here.
Yeah,
Lost a bit of time.
Yeah, anytime you drop off that curb into the dirt, you lose a little bit of momentum. But it's such a long, as you said, you could get a nice toe here. Unless Rice Puto makes a mistake, I think he's got this one. And Piatek trying to do something with Jean Reyes in the back as well. But look at Rick Segrini closing it up on Soto. Soto hit a big bump. cost him maybe a little bit of momentum here. Can Rick Segrini get the drive out? I don't think so. Nicholas Rice-Budo celebrating, and deservedly so. Beautiful drive. Soto hanging on for second. Rick Segrini, after getting spun, back on the podium. So a win and a third for Rick Segrini with a spin. That's not too shabby, Kyle.
Yeah, you'll absolutely take that, right? I mean,
yeah,
getting looped
huge.
around and back on the podium, and Camden Hibbett should limp his car back to 10th, just like we saw in the first race.
Yeah, I think that was Ortiz in that first race. But how about that drive by John Reyes? Up into fourth after starting that first race deep into the 30s, got up into the top 10, and then puts together a top 5 drive, beating Olivier Piatek on the way. Just a superb run. I think he's going to be delighted with this race here.
Yeah, as he should be.
Piatek still right there in 5th. Solid run for him.
Yeah, good points. Ooh.
Ooh.
I think these two have some differences left to sort, it appears.
All right.
That's Kai DL there in the number 38. I think these two had it coming together a few times earlier in race 1 at least.
That could be. And I'll tell you what, the stewards have made it really, really clear that post-checker, driving around to the finish, any kind of activity like that is going to get serious rebuke. So that may cost a couple of people here. Michael Melvin, a good run to 7th. We talked about Eric Haywo up into 8th, Loughran into 9th, and Camden Hibbett just salvaging 10th. With that damaged car.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'll take that, all things considered, right? He could have just ended up stopped on the side of the track, but manages a 10th. Andrew Wozencroft, a great rebound from his terrible first race, 11th in race 2, and Jose de las Casas had a nice night. Wayne Buttermore, good rebound, and Dean Dimdahl, a good rebound from a bad first race.
Absolutely, and for Jose, I mean, a couple of top 15s after a tough qualifying. That's really, really good. And Kurt Schmidt, I think he was twice caught out in all of that carnage in each of the races, and was able to come back and at least garner a 20th in this one. And then we take a look down through the field. Trace Hance, hate to see somebody we know his pace, struggling with contact. Jordan Butler, we've seen show some really good pace here. And Les Chacek, and I got a big shout out to Les and Andrew Gaeta there. Really good track awareness when the leaders were coming up on them. Did not affect those battles for the lead at all. That's classy stuff. Yeah,
and certainly that new rule coming into effect, helping a lot, which I think is great. Here's a look at all the outs next to this. 31st down to 40th, and it will continue.
And look at the names. Patry, Schooler, Burkhardt, Brock. I mean, that's some Max Bankin. And I'll tell you what, I hate to see this for Noah Harmon after the pace he showed in that first race.
Yeah, he's really quick, and unfortunately just didn't get the results that he deserved in that one. But let's have a chat with a couple of our finishers tonight. Let's see, who should we start with? We got Camden Hibbett joining us here. Let's talk to Camden first. Camden Hibbett, Kyle Heyer from SimTV. Got a copy?
Yeah, what's going on, guys?
Hey, well, that was a great race for you. It just didn't end the way that I think you were hoping with a blown engine there, and you were just over the rev limit at turn 3. So that's unfortunate, but you had a really good race, good night all in all. So take us through your evening and battling up front there with the 108 and the 03.
Yeah, it was good fun tonight. I know at least at the front, I was in a Discord with some people, and it sounded like mid-pack on back was kind of, it was just a little bit, I don't want to say dirty, just kind of a little bit everywhere. But up front was super, super clean, really good racing. I feel pretty good taking that points for a week 1. 70, went back and looked, 7,600 on the RPM and the rev limiter 75, so 100 RPM over and ultimately ended the race. But super fun racing tonight. Congrats to Jordan on both the wins and Josh. Fun racing tonight.
Yeah, and you really showed some speed out there, and it looked like in the second race in particular, I don't know what changes you may have made, in your approach or whatever, but you just your pace seemed to be a little bit more stout in that second race, and you looked like, you were seriously ready to get after it.
Yeah, I was just trying to be a little bit more consistent and a little bit more aggressive, honestly. I think I should have had P2 in race 1 when I went on Josh into Sunset. I just did not get back to power soon enough. I was way slow through there on what I should have been. So I just needed to ramp up the aggression because this series is so tight. Everybody's super aggressive, super fast. I was talking to some of the parallel racing group guys, and it was just, there was no real way to get to the front with Jordan and Nick hooked up. They're just that fast. So we had to figure out a way to separate them, and I ended up doing that in the second race. So then trying to go on Jordan just didn't work out. Haven't looked back and seen what happened into turn 3. Hopefully it was just a racing deal. I know that was not the way any of the 3 of us wanted that to end, but up to that point, that was some amazing racing, and I really think I was in a good spot on the final lap of race 2, minus that engine failure.
Oh, I think you were, and it was fascinating watching when you were drafting Nick down the inside heading into Sunset, and it was like, all right, Camden's going to pop wide, and you got out there, and I mean, you just got a great drive out of there at that point, and that's when everything, looked like, all right, you might be able to do something, and then had the issue over there. But great racing, great start to the season in terms of some points. Obviously would have liked better than 10th, but you salvaged something in that second race, and after you're running the first race, you're off to a good start, man.
Yeah, absolutely. I need to give a huge thanks to my mom, my dad, all my partners, Parallel Racing Group for letting me join the team for this season, working on a paint scheme, Morgan Burkhardt, if you're watching. But no, it's been a fun couple weeks. Winning the Mazda shootout, we're heading down to Spec MX5, heading down to Sebring this weekend with Spec MX5. So huge thank you to Mazda Motorsports as well for all the help. So can't wait to get back on track in 2 weeks. I unfortunately won't be at Homestead, but can't wait to get back on the track with these guys soon and have some incredible sim racing.
All right, man. Always love calling you racing.
Thank you.
Thanks, Camden. And before we move on here, we're going to talk next with Joshua Soto. You see, I got my hands quite full over here. Joshua Soto is going to be next, though. Came home, brought this car home in second place in the number 77 car. Josh, a really good run for you in race number 2 of the night in particular, but you were up there battling all night long with Nicholas and Jordan and Camden. So take us through your evening there and that battle to the checkers that never quite happened there with the leader, Nicholas Rice-Puto.
Oh, yeah. It was it was a pretty tough fight, both first and the second race. Second race, we got a little bit, there's a little bit of a gap between us and, the top 3. But I noticed that they were fighting near the end, so, something happened, and I ended up somehow getting second in that second race.
Well, I think some of that was just being relentless, and when you did drop back, a little bit, you just put your head down and went after them, and it was just absolutely great racing. And I'll tell you that, late in that second race, 3 wide, down through 1, through 2, and up into 3, that was just spectacular stuff. And it was just impressive watching you come back and get yourself in a position to be able to potentially get after it there.
Oh yeah. The game plan is always just just maintain the speed, the braking points, and all that, because they're always still in the race. You never know what's going to happen at the front. So yeah, that was my thing. Just just stay in it, try to keep up the pace, and we were able to come back with another podium.
How tough, did you have to manage tires at all, or were they staying underneath you pretty well?
Oh yeah. Especially towards the end, they were kind of giving up. I noticed around, I think, turn 8 or so. I was kind of getting a little bit of oversteer. I mean, not oversteer, but understeer.
Okay.
But that's the only place I kind of noticed that happening.
All right. Well, yeah, you drove as usual, Josh, an absolutely great race, and looking forward to having you as part of this for the rest of this season. You guys just put on such a great show, man.
Oh yeah, for sure. Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it. Talk now with, how about Jordan Rick Segrini, the race 1 winner tonight and came home on the podium in race 2. Jordan, tonight, the race 2 didn't quite pan out the way I think you were hoping. Got turned around there, but still managed to grab a podium. So all things considered, a really good points night after some fierce battles.
Yeah, thanks, man. I appreciate it. It's nice to hear from you guys again. Glad to be able to get on the podium and talk to you guys. It's going to be a competitive year with how this field's stacking up so far.
It certainly is, and it was a phenomenal night for you. Just that second race, though, rebounding, and walk me through getting turned around and straightening things out. How do you keep your head straight when you get looped around like that and focus forward on just getting the results back?
To be honest, you just got, a lot of people say they drive mad and stuff. You got to just put it out of your mind, try not to react, because the more you react, the more it's going to affect you in the coming corners, and you're just going to dig yourself a deeper hole. You got to let it go and just put your head down, try and do the same laps you were just doing before it.
Got to focus that red mist, as they say. And great rebound run for you there. And, it just looked like to me as you got up into 3, Nicholas Rice-Puto had done a beautiful over-under move through turn 1 and just came up the inside. And it looked to me like you probably glanced in your mirrors, saw Camden, never saw Nick, and just turned in.
No, I actually did know that Nick was there. I was just trying to hold him, and he said that he was in the ABS and had the wheel cranked over, and we just kind of came together, and the way it hooked me was unfortunate.
That is, yeah. Well, again, absolutely great rebound. And I'll tell you what, is in that first race, as soon as those guys started dicing a little bit, you just checked out. Had you driven the race so that you would have something at the end to be able to just have a little bit more speed relative to the other guys?
Yeah, I was kind of just cruising that first race. Nick was kind of pushing me the whole time. I didn't have a whole lot of pressure, so I was able to be easy on the tires. And then as soon as I saw them go too wide, and then for more than one corner, I knew I had to really put in a good lap and get some time in between me and them, and I could just cruise that final lap.
And you did. It was great to see that win. And again, a spin and a podium, not too bad in race 2. Well done.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Kyle. Shout out to Parallel Racing Group, BSI Racing, my family, everybody that supports me, my friends. Appreciate it all. And Cora and the guys here that put everything on for this. Thank you, guys.
We'll see you, Jordan. Have a great night.
Thank you.
And last but not least, Nicholas Rice-Puto won the race, run race 2, had a battle kind of brewing up there with a couple of drivers, but engines blown and things didn't quite pan out for them, but it did for you, Nicholas. Fierce fights up front tonight. Couldn't quite get there in race 1, but you wrapped up race 2 victory in round 1.
Yes, it feels good. How's it going, guys?
Good.
It was a lot of fun.
Didn't look like it. It was, that pack particularly in that first race, and then, for about the first half of the second race, at one point it was 6 or 7 cars that were pretty much in a train, and it was an absolute study in mistake-free driving as best you could. That must have been a blast.
Yes, up until there was a few mistakes, but it was still good. I was trying to work with Jordan for till like the last 5 minutes, but we ended up getting into each other.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, that over/under you made through turn 1 to get that run up into 3. Obviously, at that point there was that little bit of contact, but man, that was a great piece of reading the traffic and making that move.
Thank you guys. How you guys been on this off season?
We've been missing this. We've been wanting to get back to it. So it's great to be calling you guys again. This Full Send Sims series is an absolute treat. And obviously, with the big Hoosier Super Tour event coming up at Sebring, a big field today. It was awesome.
Thanks, guys.
Well done.
Thanks, Nicholas. Congratulations, and we'll see you next time. All right, and Greg, wrapping things up here from Sebring International Raceway. This was a fun one tonight, and we're never left wanting much more after Sebring. It just happens to be one of the most exciting racetracks to watch action here in the Full Send Sim Spec Miata series. So wrapping things up, Greg, storylines going into next week.
Well, obviously, first of all, I want to remind everybody, just to let everybody know that we've got the driver's school on Thursday. Just go to fullsendsims.com. You can sign up for that Homestead Road Course B. And that's always an interesting track to run. And so I would take advantage of that school because that's where we'll be. next Tuesday. And as I recall, Kyle, that gave us some extraordinary racing when we ran it last year.
A couple of photo finishes, in fact, I think in both races too.
Exactly.
So we're gearing up for a lot of fun. But it's going to be back on the Full Send Sims tour here for another handful of rounds. But Greg, final thoughts here on Sebring before we wrap up the night.
Sebring always produces, doesn't it? It just, in one way, shape, or another, it always gives great racing. And I think a big part of that is simply because of the fact that we talked about it during the race. If you're a driver that is a good all-round driver, you excel at technical as well as high speed, you can make a difference at Sebring. We've seen that play out time and again. Need to give a quick shout out to our presenting sponsors once again: 3P Logistics, Tailored Trackside Support, Final Turn Motorsports, Full Service Prep Shop, and of course Wine Country Motorsports, the racer's resource for helmet, suits, gloves, shoes, seats, harnesses for over 30 years, and most of all to Full Send Sims, where they believe practice makes podium, and they deliver on that every time out. Thanks for joining us here at Sebring. Big thanks to Kyle, big thanks to Court, big thanks to Afinian, who does a lot behind the scenes, and Beans as well. We look forward to being back with you next Tuesday night at Homestead. We'll see you then.